Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today we're going to be filming the mid-year book freakout tag, which I used to do every year and then stopped doing for the past 1 or 2 years, but now I'm starting it up again because why not? This is the third time that I'm filming this video, so this take better go well. The first time, I just hated the video, and the second time, it started raining, and then the lighting got really bad. So if this one doesn't go well, I am never filming this video again. So, mid-year book freakout tag 2021. Let's just go through the questions and get started. So the first question is, what is the best book that you've read so far in 2021? And if I had filmed this before June, I would have one solid answer for you. But now that I'm in June and I read a couple of new books, I don't. So I'm gonna pick 2 books and we're going to cheat. First one is quite obviously, if you have watched my videos for the first half of 2021, going to be The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. So cute, so wonderful, I love. And the second book is actually going to be, like I said, a new read, and it is Malibu Rising by Jenkins. Holding up these books and talking about them in the same question, they are wildly different while also kind of eerily being a bit similar to one another, to be completely honest with you. In a way, they're both about family. Like, this one is more so found family, and this one is obviously more so biological family, but they're about family, and they're about, you know, coming together and things like that. Granted, this one is more fantasy and this one is obviously adult contemporary fiction, but I love them both equally. The House in the Cerulean Sea is adorable and whimsical and so heartwarming, and I love it to pieces. And Malibu Rising made me feel lots of things. Some of them were not good things, but lots of things. And it was just such a good book. If you haven't read any of Taylor Jenkins' work. Her name is so hard for me to say, but if you have not read any of her work yet, specifically like Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones, and now Malibu Rising, I would just highly suggest doing it. It's so good, and like, I haven't read any of her earlier books than Evelyn Hugo, but I've heard really good things about those as well, so just highly recommend. She's a great author, and she writes great, unique stories, and I'm here for it. And also, obviously, pick up The House in the Cerulean Sea. Just do it. So next we have the best sequel that you've read so far in 2021, and for this, it is just a no-brainer for me. It is going right to Kingdom of Copper, if you can see it with the glare, by S.A. Chakraborty. This series just took me by surprise and took me on a whirlwind of a journey. It was so good, and I'm so happy that I read it this year and specifically read the entire thing, not just like the first 1 or 2 books, because oh my god, it was just so incredible and I loved it. This is a Middle Eastern inspired adult fantasy following multiple characters. You are sort of thrust into this world of Daevabad with all of the magic and mysteries and political mayhem that is going on in the story, and the second book in particular does take a time jump at the beginning of the story. I think it's like 5 or so years in the future it jumps, which really makes this one in particular interesting and why I really love it as a sequel. So highly recommend. If you haven't read this series yet and you like adult fantasy, pick it up. It's really good. Basically, I'm gonna say that about every book on this list except for the disappointments, obviously. So because I'm me, I'm going to have 2 answers to a lot of these questions, and this next one is no different. The next question is going to be a new release that you have been wanting to get to but just have not read yet. So first, I'm going to choose one that I have mentioned many times already this year, and that is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. This is I think it's new adult contemporary fiction. Usually that's what Mary H.K. Choi writes, but to be honest, I'm not sure what this one is classed as, whether it's YA or new adult. But regardless, I've been wanting to get to this story for a while now, a couple months ever since it came out, whenever it did, in like March or something, and I just haven't yet, and I feel like I've put it in like every TBR video that I've made so far, and yet I still have not gotten to it. So it's on this list in this question. This is a story about 2 sisters who have grown apart but then come together again when one of them is diagnosed with cancer, and I just have a feeling it's going to be a very sad book and I'm going to cry, and I think that might be why I've been putting it off, because I'm just not ready for that yet. But I've heard that it's really good. So at this point, it's just me not wanting to feel things. And the next book is a pretty new release. It just came out this June, and it is Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon, which I put in my summer TBR video, but I'm adding it here because I haven't gotten to it yet. I also don't know what this one is classed as. Is this YA or is this like new adult? I don't know. But the story follows this girl who can basically like see visions of relationships. So like she looks at a couple and she can get like a vision of like how they began and like how they're going to end and break up. And so that basically has caused her to not believe in love anymore because she knows it only leaves you miserable. And of course there's going to be a love story in this book, which then is going to make her believe in love again and all that sort of stuff. But I'm really excited to read this because I love Nicola Yoon and I love her writing, and The Sun Is Also a Star is like one of my favorite YA contemporary stories. So I'm so excited. I love this so much. So the next question is about your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And for this, I am going to go with A Psalm of Storms and Silence. I'm not sure if that's the name of it, or I feel like I'm getting a word wrong, but the cover will be here just in case I'm wrong because I can't seem to remember anything these days. This is the sequel to A Song of Rights and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. I'm so excited for this book because the first one left off on such a cliffhanger, and I am just like so here for knowing what's going to happen. Oh my god. And I keep getting mad because every time I look at this book, the release date keeps getting pushed back and back and back, and I'm like, no. Just give it to me now. If you haven't read A Song of Rights and Ruin, it is a West African inspired fantasy. It's YA, and it follows two characters who sort of have a enemies to like sort of lovers romance where they each are trying to basically kill the other one without the other one knowing. They both have these like ulterior motives and these plans that they're working toward, which means that they're going to try to kill the other person, and then in the end they end up liking each other. So it's a fun time. It's a great time. So for question 5, I will not spend a lot of time on this because I've already talked about this way too much on my channel, but it is the biggest disappointment of 2021 so far, and for me it's going to be A Heart So Fierce and Broken by Bridget Kemmerer, I think is her name. It's the second book in the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series. It just really did not do it for me. I disliked the characters, I disliked the plot, I disliked every action that every character ever made in this story, and that's all I'm going to say. I will leave it at that, and if you want to know more, you can watch my April wrap up or something. I don't know. I went into like a very in-depth almost rant about this book, which I'm sorry ahead of time, or I guess in the past. I'm sorry for my past self. But yeah, I feel like every time I bring this book up, I start like ranting about how much I disliked it. So we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna move on. Okay, but the biggest surprise of 2021 so far has to be none other than Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. Oh my god. So it wasn't a surprise to me that I liked this series or that I was going to like it because I knew that I would. It's a middle grade fantasy series. Like right then and there I'm like, okay, I'm gonna enjoy this at least for the most part. But what I wasn't expecting was to read like all 8 of these books in 1 month, and some of the books are like 800 pages, right? Like multiple of the books are like 600 plus pages. So I was not expecting to read them all in 1 month, but I did. And that came as a big surprise to me. Like I said, this is a very long, very, whirlwind of a journey middle grade fantasy series. It's really good and it's fun, and some of the characters are really great and some of them are not so great, but you win some, you lose some, and I just thoroughly enjoy this series. I think that it's so fun and so whimsical in a way, but also very dark. I love this series, and if you can tell by the many vlogs I have up on my channel where I read the books, you probably know that as well. Alright, so question 7 is your favorite new author, either a debut author or an author who is new to you. My book almost fell, sorry. And for this, I'm choosing once again S.A. Chakraborty, who wrote The City of Brass, or the David Bad trilogy, that's what it's called. She just, I will read anything that she writes. That's all I'm gonna say. No, that's not all I'm gonna say. I will read anything that she writes, like literally anything. I think that right now she's working on a story that I'm really, really excited about. It's like this story about this girl who was an ex-pirate who has to get back in the game by, gathering this crew to go on this like wicked journey or something, and I don't know. I think that it said that it was Ocean's 11 meets Pirates of the Caribbean, and I'm like, oh my god, I am here for this. Like, sign me the hell up. I'm just so excited for anything that she writes because this series was so good and I just want to read more. Question 8 is newest fictional crush, and for this I actually had a really hard time picking an answer because I don't think that I've read any books this year or any series that really stood out to me, and like the characters themselves I liked or had a crush on or anything like that, whereas in years past with like some YA series I have. So kind of hard for me to pick one, but the best that I can do is going to be Heart Darrigan from the Last Magician series by Lisa Maxwell, because I reread this series this year and I still really do like Heart, and that's all that I can say, to be honest with you. I don't really have a better answer than this, so that's what I'm going with. In addition though, I did read The Serpent's Curse this year, which I'll talk about in my June wrap-up because I just recently finished it, but I really liked the direction that Hart's character went in that story, sort of the like character development that we got from him in that book. I really liked that, so I think that's also why he's on my list. So question 9 is, who is your newest favorite character out of everything that you've read? And this was hard, but also not hard, and I'm going to be reusing a book again because we are throwing it back to Keeper of the Lost Cities with Keith Senshin. If you've seen my vlogs, I feel like this was a no-brainer, but if you haven't seen my vlogs, I love this child so much. Keith is like funny and sarcastic and witty and like a troublemaker, but also he's like kind and sweet and soft-hearted, but also he's gone through so much trauma in his life that has really just like defined him and like put him through, you know, the highs and lows and made him really like develop as a character, and like, oh my god, he has just gone through some shit that I just don't want to talk about, and I love this character so much. I love him to death. He is my fave, and I don't want anything to happen to him, and I don't know what else that I can say because I just love him so much. I am very much Team Keith to the end. Like, I don't care about any other character in this story. That's kind of a lie, but also kind of not a lie. I just care about Keith. So I'm gonna be reusing another answer again because I just can't help it when this is the only book that applies to this question. But the question is a book that made you cry, and for this I'm going to have to go with The House in the Cerulean Sea because I sobbed at the end of this story, but it was like a happy sobbing. It was like a happy cry. You know, when like you get to the end of a book and you're like, oh my god, this is so precious and cute and how can this get any better, and you just like cannot help but burst into tears because you like your feelings are just everywhere and you can't help but feel things. That's how I felt about this book. And so for the next question, which is a book that made you happy, I am not going to be reusing The House in the Cerulean Sea, even though I could, but I'm going to instead choose Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. This is a romance graphic novel series, and it is just one of the cutest things that I've ever read. I love it so much, and I just love these characters. And I actually recently reread this one and volume 2, which are the only ones that I have in physical copies of, because I just felt like it one day, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And within like an hour, I had both of them read, and I was like, yes, this is what satisfaction feels like. The series just makes me so happy. It is just so adorable, and these boys just go through the highs and lows of finding love in high school and all of the, you know, things that go along with, you know, coming out and realizing who you are and who you want to be, and just all of the coming of age sort of things that make stories so, so great. I love it. I love them to death. Look at them. Look at them on the back. I love them so much. Also, I can't help but think about the TV show that is being made out of these books every time I look at them or read them or hear them being spoken about, so that just also makes me very happy and excited for the future. So question 12 is, what is the most beautiful book that you have bought so far this year? And for this one, I have 2 answers again, but only because they are part of the same series, so technically it counts as 1 answer. But that's going to be the UK editions of Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk by Elizabeth Lim. I wanted to get these covers and editions ever since I saw that they were being made. They are so beautiful. Like, I'll give you a close-up of them. Hopefully it'll focus. Anyway, they're just so beautiful, and like, I cannot with these covers. They're so pretty, and the colors and the detail and just like everything about the stories, I'm obsessed. I keep looking at them because I notice something new every single time, and they're so pretty. I also may have pre-ordered the UK edition of Six Crimson Cranes, which is Elizabeth Lim's new story, so I'm very excited to receive that as well because that was the cover that made me want to get the UK versions of these books as well. That cover is freaking gorgeous, and I'm so excited to have it in my collection. It's so pretty. So the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I could use this question to go through all of the rest of the books on my 21 books I'll get to in 2021 list, but that's not gonna happen. Instead, I'm going to pick 2 books that I don't think I featured on there at all in the slightest. And so the first one is going to be Bridge of Souls by V.E. Schwab, and the second one is Black Sun by Rebecca Rohnhorse. Both of these books I would love to get to before the year is up. Black Sun because it's an adult fantasy that I've been talking about in multiple TBRs recently, and I just want to be able to mark it off as read on my list. And Bridge of Souls because it's the 3rd book in a middle grade sort of paranormal ghost story trilogy, and I just want to finish the series. Vastly different books, but I'm here for both of them. And technically there are 2 more questions in this tag, but I'm going to skip them for now just because they're not like book related, they're more so like creator related, and I just want to stick to like the books that I've read so far this year, so we're just gonna stop here. So that is my roundup. I did all the books I've read so far this year, and I did a mid-year book freakout tag, so you can pick out the like select few that I enjoyed or disliked and stuff like that. So hopefully if you watched both of them you enjoy, and if you just watched one or the other, I hope you like that too. I'm eager to know what is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year, something that is not out yet but is going to be published within the like last 6 months of 2021. What is your most anticipated book that you want to get to? Let me know in the comments. I have this habit where I keep forgetting exactly what is coming out, and then when I see it on Instagram, it's already been like a month since it came out, and I'm like, why did I not know this? And it's because, Ashley, you don't keep up with the news. You don't keep up with what's trendy and what's you don't keep up with anything. So I need to stop questioning why I'm never in the know, because I know why I'm not in the know. It's because I'm lazy. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this video, so that's gonna be it. I don't have anything more to say, so we're just gonna stop here. If you want to follow me on any of my socials, all my handles are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I will catch you later. Bye!